And we'll start off with the hard stuff, but let's try and pay homage to two Australian cricketing icons. We'll start first with Rod Marsh. So Friday morning, we got the news that old Iron Gloves Bacchus Rod Marsh had passed at the age of 74. Friday the 4th of March is going to be remembered as a pretty tough day in Australian cricketing history. Obviously, before all of our time, in terms of a player, we knew that he had a lot to do with the academy, as we were growing up. Let's just go through Rod Marsh, the keeper. He was a short, stocky player, and he just kind of embodied the 80s and 70s, really. Started in the 70s, finished in the 80s. I'm talking the open shirts, I'm talking the hair, the chest hair coming out. I'm talking about beers after the game.
Beers before game.
Possibly, maybe one at lunch. He actually, although, we like to laugh about how times have changed at least. The standard of cricket was pretty unbelievable. He did hold the world record for the most test catches for approximately 15 years before his successor, Ian Healy, took that from him. 343 catches, 12 dismissals, 3,600 test runs at an average of 26, 3 tons, 16 50s, also 92 ODIs. How's this compare? 1,225 runs at an average of 20. That's a big shout out to the changes that Adam Gilchrist made in what's expected out of a wicketkeeper in terms of what they can do with the bat. Being a world record holder for 15 years for test catches is pretty unbelievable. In our kind of memory, was a coach at the Australian Cricket Academy from its inception in the late 80s, was the director for 11 years between 1990 and 2001. So essentially all of our cricketing idols and, guys that we watched growing up would have been coached, would have been mentored, would have been close with him, would have been great mates. With Rod Marsh, so for the boys over in Pakistan, this news, which would have probably filtered through, I imagine, throughout play on day one, would have been pretty tough. And as I alluded to before our time, we've only kind of got the highlights, maybe watching a little bit in the rain delay, in games when we were growing up and seeing how they used to do it in the 70s and 80s. So I texted the old boy, actually, and I said, what are your fondest memories of Rod Marsh? And he texted back pretty short and sweet, as he likes to be. Caught Marsh, bowled Lily, absolutely iconic. That anyone that was an Australian cricket fan in the 1970s and 80s would have seen that happen a plethora of times. And probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. Patted his gloves in a test match once with steak, keeping to Jeff Thompson. It's always interesting to hear the old blokes and how they allude to Tomo, Had there been speed guns in those days, was he the fastest bowler of all time? Maybe there's a little bit of mayo on the story. I reckon Tomo was bowling 165. He would have put Lee and Akhtar to shame and the rest of it. Apparently that is a confirmed story. That there were two cold steaks.
Just a little bit extra padding.
Of extra padding to help their hands keep back to Jeff Thompson. Just watching the old highlights of thousands of people on the hill at the SCG or, wherever with the shirts off and the short shorts and, maybe a few screwy moys under the belt, just going mad and watching Australian cricket back in those days. Different experience for sure. And just thinking of his family, losing someone, regardless of age, is always difficult. So Vale, Rod Marsh. Moving forward, boys, and I think we'll get all of our
following day essentially. Well,
the same day, the same date. So it was middle of the night, Friday night into early Saturday morning. Actually, I got up for a wee, and I checked my phone, and I thought, no, that's not real.
That's fake news.
Yeah, yep. I went back to bed and then I woke up and it started to sink in that the king of spin, Shane Warne, had passed away at way too young, at the age of 52 in Koh Samui. Boys, what was our initial impressions of the passing? For me, shock, disbelief. Yeah, didn't think it was real at first.
Yeah, 100%. You're just like, wow. Of course, being only just 52, like pretty young. But when all the boys are starting to filter through and everyone's reporting it, you're just like, just an absolute legend. And while I was sitting here, I was thinking about it because we got it the note there. His first cricket rock star. I was kind of thinking maybe the only, like, who's transcended sport as far as he has. Like, I know, say Kohli's like huge, but that's like central to India, whereas Warne's just everywhere. Everyone knows Warne.
And when we use the term rock star, like he partied with the Rolling Stones, with Elton John, with Ed Sheeran in recent years. He dated Liz. He was going to marry Liz Hurley. We use the word rock star, superstar. Yes, Kohli. These guys that
he's cricket's biggest superstar.
Names exactly. Tendulkar, idolised by a billion people. But when we use that term rock star, I think maybe
as a cricket worldwide phenomenon, he's the dude. Like he's number one. Like, you can't go past that.
A larrikin, an icon, an idol for many.
Yeah, exactly. And one, watching him, and then two, spending the last 20 years listening to him as well. Like he's been with cricket essentially as long as we've been watching it. In all formats.
Well, the whole time. Yeah. Test debut in '93, I believe. Us born in 1990, so probably don't remember those first few years. But as long as I can remember watching cricket, I can remember SK Warne being a pivotal part of it. Yep. Let's go back and kind of build on that. Our best memories. Obviously, the Gatting ball. We were a little bit too young to have been watching that one live, but I remember hearing about the ball of the century, and then you'd see it here and there in the cricketing highlights. Growing up as a youngster, now one has the ability to just jump on YouTube and watch that ball. His first ball in England. The face of Mike Gatting afterwards, absolutely iconic. Just sheer disbelief that ball had done what it had done.
I don't think I've ever seen a cricket ball do anything like that since. Like the way it just kind of looks like it floats away right and then comes all the way back left. Like it's
just gets the off bails just there and just gets that off bail. I tell you what, it does get the ball of the century. The terminology used around it. Shane Warne bowled 15, 20 balls like that. Like going through some of the highlights, I think that Strauss ball in the 05 Ashes, where he's gone to pat it, bowling to the left-hander, he's gone to pat it away, and he's just found a footmark or something way outside.
4 feet outside.
way outside off stump, and it's bowled him around his legs and taken his right peg.
Yep.
Right peg, that's good terminology. His leg stump.
Yes.
His leg stump. And again, like, that doesn't get called the ball of the century. There's probably, like I say, 10, 15, 20 balls that Shane Warne bowled that spun that much and just absolutely unplayable. I remember his 700th. I think we were down in Adelaide that year for Christmas at the MCG, and just absolute wild scenes. Again, I think that was to Andrew Strauss, a poor fella. I remember being a youngster and watching Daryl Cullinan coming out for South Africa to play Shane Warne, and Warne absolutely had it, was living rent free in Cullinan's head. The bunny, they called him, and he just couldn't play him. Try and hide down the other end, much like myself in the lofty levels of playing third grade Canberra cricket, just trying to hide down the other end and let someone else do a little bit of it. That was Daryl Cullinan facing Shane Warne.
One of my favourite memories was when he took Freddie Flintoff in England, where he just set him up in an over. He just bowled one ball, just easy, just block it, and he just brought it slowly forward, as in shorter, bowling ball shorter and shorter. Within 3 balls, Freddie just spooned it to him because he just hadn't picked the length right, and Warne's like, "Yep, done, job done." He just not only the talent, the skill, but the tactician as well, just understanding what he needed to do and be able to hit that spot every single time. He was just 100%.
I think I remember, I don't know if it was like an All-Star game. It was like some T20 Big Bash sort of thing where he was on mic on the field and he was like, this is exactly what I'm going to bowl. Right now I'm going to get him out. I can't remember who was batting against him, but he just bowled his perfect spin ball and just got the guy out. And it was just like...
And people, we talk about him being a rock star, but people kind of sleep on the fact that he was actually a legitimate cricketing genius. The name that comes to mind when you say that is probably Ricky Ponting. You watch him commentate in the way that... And Warne, we probably had our own opinions on the way that he likes to commentate. He tends to, never hold back. He likes to, give his opinion, and I probably preferred punter as a commentator. But what goes through punter's head was the same in Warne.
Exactly.
And that's coming out with all the tributes and all the guys that played with him was, yes, he was a rock star off the field, but he was a legitimate cricketing genius on the field. And again, like a lot of these guys, he had to choose between playing Aussie rules footy and cricket. Could you imagine a world where Shane Warne's gone, no, look, I'm going to pursue. I love St Kilda. Grew up a big fan of being of the Saints. I'm going to pursue Aussie rules football, and one of those sliding doors kind of moments. If he had just gone through a few weeks in his life where he said, no, you know what, I want to be a footy player, the world would never have experienced Shane Warne. It's weird to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% agree.
What about, and we spoke a little bit earlier about it in the podcast, how the game has changed. I was sending through a few of the old ads with Warne doing VB ads.
Turn anything.
Yeah, he could turn anything, even a cross-dressing David Boone. I don't think we'd get away with that one these days, but definitely gave me a little bit of a chuckle watching that one. And just some of the stories. I think I sent you, boy, like we talk about the rock star personality, people would write about him like he was an A-list celebrity.
And this reminds me, his documentary, I think, it's due out very, very soon. Yep. So I wonder if they'll tweak it a little bit to have a final note on it. Because it's again, serendipity, is that the right word? But I'll be watching that and probably trying not to tear up. But yeah, just going back to some of the favourite stories. When he was dating Liz Hurley, who I'd seen, growing up in, Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me. This is a legitimate celebrity, and there's Shane Warne popping the question. And I remember reading an article about when Liz Hurley was coming over to Oz, some trop article about how SK Warne had a new mattress delivered that day to make sure everything was a go by the time Liz got here. We speak about the larrikin, that was Shane Warne. No secret that he loved a dart. Again, a kind of a reminder of how the game might have changed a fair bit. That classic photo of him smoking a dart with the schooner completely in his mouth up in the stands in England somewhere, dancing with the stump.
Yeah, that's it.
Just an absolute larrikin and an Australian legend, and will be severely missed. Something about good people and dying young, isn't there? Mm-hmm. Anyways, off the field, he wasn't a perfect human being. He definitely had his flaws. We don't need to go into too much detail into that. But he was a real person. He was
relatable. Which also I think made him such a big star, as people could, especially in Australia, could definitely relate to him.
Beer drinking, dart smoking, cultures of the 80s and 90s. That's probably what kind of elevated that stardom, wasn't it? That he could have just been the bloke from your social cricket team, he was just doing it on a world stage and
best to ever do it.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Matai Marularitharan, we could have another conversation about
asterisks,
about arm angles and the rest of it. We'll give credit where credit is due on the list of most wickets Matai hasn't covered. But yeah, as Australians, I think we all agree in our minds the best bowler to ever live. And a sad day for cricket fans around the world. On that note, just thinking about the teammates, the retired teammates, the current playing group that have either lost, a best mate or a mentor or, just someone that they like playing cricket with and winning a lot of cricket with. For his parents, Keith and Bridget, always hard when when parents outlive their kids, it's not meant to work that way. And I think, for his kids and for his ex-wife, Simone, that's probably who hurts the most in all of this. So obviously we're thinking of Brooke, Jackson and Summer. His death's been so public. We're three unqualified idiots talking about it on the internet, but obviously just want to pay homage to one of our heroes and icons in Australian sport. Our hearts go out to the family. That's probably who who you feel for the most. Yes, you can talk about how loved he was around the world for what he did on a cricket field. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's a human being.
Yeah, he's still a man.
Yeah,
still a man.
exactly.
He had family and friends.
Yeah.
All right. Vale Rod Marsh, Vale Shane, Keith Warne.